Amen.
Ephesians 3:21, to him be glory in the ecclesia and in Christ Jesus for all the generations of the eons, which is the fifth one. Why do you laugh? Am I not right?
No, you're
I
correct.
I think you are, but
We never say that when we
I
read the
know.
scriptures. Yeah. I should say that
It's
in the
the
church,
it's the
which is the
ever
fifth
of the
one.
forevers.
Yeah. Tell your neighbors. So Ace, you have to scroll down.
There's no more.
No more. Okay. So thank you for the English lesson.
You're welcome.
You read it beautifully. Makes me
I
want to slow down.
I need to pronounce offense.
Right, that's correct. Offense. Football
Offense.
teams have a defense and an offense.
Yeah, but it's the sound of O. I was asking about offense. It's a
Yeah,
low sound.
yeah, it's a
Offense.
short sound instead of a long.
Offense. In French, it's offense. So it's not that far.
Mm.
Offense. Offense. You see, the English is offense.
Hmm. Hey, JG.
We can read
Hello.
the proverbs with JG. I have a proverb for him.
Hey Ben, you've been gone for a while, huh?
Yeah, but I was thinking about you.
I know.
You felt it.
Yeah, what were you thinking about?
Me or you?
What were you thinking about?
Maybe I have to adjust my volume just a moment. So, Ace, what is that? This is it's a book. I mean, you're writing a book.
A pamphlet. In this one, number 2, I compared the love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13,
Okay.
to Romans 16, where Paul says hi to all those saints in Rome.
Yeah, yeah.
It just seemed to fit that there was so much love in stopping to say hi to them and call them out by name and identify with them and compliment them left
I'm
and
still
right.
looking for my own name in the list. Holy kiss.
Uh-huh.
Wow. What's a holy kiss?
I don't know.
Is this your first day back, Ben?
Yeah, but I mean, I recently I worked hard with my group, and today was like the end of a kind of season with them, and I don't know. I wanted to see my friends
Who are these guys?
like you.
Oh yeah, we're pals.
And also I was, I don't know, studying studying my own stuff. This is to have a quiet life, Ace, to study and take a walk and
Mm-hmm.
drink coffee.
Depending on what you study, I suppose.
Generally, I study the Bible
Yeah.
and grammar. And I may review my music.
Review the old music that you've recorded.
I mean, like theory, like musical theory. I love it. But it's bizarre that you are saying that, JG, because I found very old songs when I was 16 years old recently. And it's not well recorded, but honestly, like a few, not everything, but a few, quite a few number of, a good number of passages could be recycled and re-recorded. Yeah. So yeah, also that composing music. Do you play music?
Yeah, play some guitar.
Great.
Yes, sir. Actually feels really good whenever I do. So I haven't played today.
What do
But
you
I
like to play? Do you play what you create yourself, or you play songs you know, or
Yeah, I just write stuff here and there, and then I've got a bunch of fragments all over the place, as many guitarists do, and just try to piece them together, connect them, add to them, revisit some old stuff sometimes that I may have forgotten about. That's pretty fun.
hey, this is a topic.
Hmm.
Music. What kind of music do you like? Like folk, or I don't know.
Hmm. I pretty much just listen to rock, most of my life, and some metal. But
Man,
I also like,
good metal can be extremely great, huh?
yeah, there's a lot of crap out there, but I
Also,
enjoy
yeah.
classical. It's peaceful. The classical guitar, do some finger picking.
So you see, Ace, I knew music was the solution.
That's right.
Solution to,
Friendship.
yeah, sometimes redirect your focus.
Also, we don't shed too much blood in the name of music or grammar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mean shedding blood by like not arguing?
I mean, violence. People
Yeah.
shed blood in the name of concepts like I don't know, political, religious concepts. But you rarely kill someone for a minor scale. I mean,
Yeah.
there is something deep in music.
Yeah, definitely. I have some emotional experiences when I play sometimes. It's great.
Oh yeah. You like I know you like Orthodox theology. You like Orthodox chants. The most beautiful.
Yeah, I'm rather new to the Orthodox theology, but that is what I claim to adhere to. I read the Orthodox Study Bible.
I visited the Russian church a few times. And the Greek.
I find the Orthodox believers, different ones online here and so forth, to have the deepest description that I've heard compared to other sects, and the best line of argumentation, of course, what I gravitate towards, because we're all, typically defending our faith in one way or another when we speak.
Somehow.
Seems inevitable, right?
Even when you believe in nothing, you have to. I mean,
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah. How do you believe in nothing? What's nihilism really? Is it just a
But
cop out?
Yeah, you know what? I agree what you just said about Orthodox theology. Because when I was in theology, it was mainly Catholic, okay, because it was a Catholic school. But we studied Orthodox theology. I remember that, and I remember I was amazed by the depth.
Yeah.
And the problem I had at that time with the Catholic theology was not the lack of depth, because the Catholic theology can be extremely deep. My problem was not that, but was that the fact that in the Catholic tradition, they have an additional burden, which is legalism. And this is an extreme burden in the Latin Church, the Catholic Church. But they know what depth is. Now in the Orthodox Church, they don't have that burden of the Roman law, and therefore they have a kind of, and it's a very old church. You know that the Orthodox Church is primitive. It's the mother.
Original.
Yeah, and she, because we call her she is not suffering under the burden of legalism.
Yeah, and the in some of the books in the Bible, there's additional books like the Wisdom of Solomon and the Wisdom of Ben Sirach,
Yeah,
who was I think is son of Jesus Ben Sirach.
yeah, I think it's a Syriac text. Am I right?
Yeah, that you might be
I
right.
don't know.
They refer to wisdom as a she within
Yeah, yeah, because it refers to very old Proverbs 8. Proverbs 8,
Hmm.
where wisdom, which eventually will be known as Christ himself, but in these figures of speech, wisdom is she, from the very old Proverb 8.
Yeah.
Chokhmah is a feminine figure, and in Greek it's the same. Sophia. You see, the Orthodox Church talks about the Holy Sophia. I think you heard them talking about the Holy Wisdom.
Yeah, philosophy, the love of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so verses like she moves more freely than the air itself, is in all places, always available to men, but men not always available to her. Things like that.
And honestly, and I don't want to argue, of course, but honestly, something that struck me in the Orthodox tradition, even when I was 20, was the fact that universalism, I mean, the real thing, the serious thing, not just like, I don't know, believe in Jesus and do what you want. Okay. That was never the message. But serious universalism had always a place in Orthodoxy. You know that, I hope, and even to this day.
What do you mean a place?
But I mean, if you are a universalist theologian in Russia or in Greece, you will not be condemned at all, because we just said that this is somehow a fragment of the real primitive church, the Eastern Church, and most of the fathers of the Eastern Church were universalists. Now I'm talking about the serious thing. I'm not talking about you know what I mean.
No, I mean I don't.
The fathers of the Church, of the Eastern Church, which is the source of the Orthodox Church, were mostly universalists.
I mean, what are you talking about? Serious universalists?
I mean that today, because of internet, we can call everything a universalist, and we can justify every crap, like all the crap of the world. I mean, this is one thing you do not seem to like: the fact that people could say, "I'm a universalist. Jesus will save everybody, so let's have fun." You see?
Well, I mean, it's not. It doesn't become the wrong suggestion, in what I understand in universalism on the internet, as you say. What is?
But
what
I
is
mean,
it?
I mean that like a guy like Saint Gregory of Palamas, that you know. I know you know him.
Yeah.
He's a great figure of the Orthodox Church, but he was universalist. Like he believed in the fact that at the very end of everything, God will save. Like this is Orthodox belief. I encourage you to study that. Now, in the Orthodox Church today, you will find a faction where they believe in hell, like the Catholic Church. But you will find many theologians and believers, like lay people, who do not believe at all in damnation. I'm serious. They believe in the ultimate love.
Yeah, I mean, they might be heretics.
You would have to condemn a big part of the Orthodox Church. Yeah. But I just encourage you to read about that.
Perhaps I'll get there.
Because
it's a unifying note.
Yeah, because it's not an invitation to just say anything you see like randomly. I mean, when they talked about universalism, first they never used that word, okay, and also they talked about that in a serious context. It's not like for them, for the Orthodox Church, even though eventually everything might be saved, because there's still a kind of debate, but the door is open absolutely in the Orthodox Church for the salvation of all. And if you read the most important theologians from the East, you will be surprised. Now they also believe in purification and you may suffer. So what the Catholics call the purgatory, I don't know, purgatory. They don't talk about that, but they talk about the necessity of being purified. So you see, they are not joking. They are not saying that you will have fun, but they believe that love is the last word. By the way, the Catholic Church also believes that the love is the last word. The problem is the legalism, the Roman law. But they believe in love. We all must believe in love. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you speak of law when you say we must believe in love, or you speak of something that is above a law in a sense.
Yeah. I think it's a law.
When you say we must believe in love,
It's
meaning,
a must. Yeah.
If you don't, then you just negate what is true, what is apparent, what exists everywhere.
So you are proving the value of love by doing that, by saying that.
By exhorting that you must believe in it.
Simone Weil, the French philosopher, the Jewish French philosopher, she said, that the proof that good exists, okay? The proof of goodness, is that when you are, I don't know if I can say that in English, deprived from it, when you have a lack of it, an absence of it. Can I say deprived in English?
Yeah, I mean that's
when that good is absent from your life.
That's what the Orthodox tradition teaches about good and evil, that evil is a privation.
Oh yeah, but this is from Greek philosophy. It's not false. It's not in the Hebrew Bible. I've studied that. Like the question of evil as an absence is from Aristotle, and now this has been recuperated by the Christians. You're right. They see evil as a kind of absence, but my point is that when the goodness in your life is absent, this is where you understand the value of that good by his absence.
Suffering, yeah. Well, in a universalist approach or universalist sense, the absence of love, the absence of good, would be, by what methodology? A negation of the creature, a negation of the creature's will. How would that work?
I'm not sure if I absolutely understand
Huh.
your question. Actually, can you
Absolutely.
reformulate that?
Yeah, the absence of evil, the absence of good, as you speak of,
Hmm.
in a universalist sense.
How
That
could
would
we
be
apply
the
that?
absence. Well, that would be the absence of God. It seems.
Hmm. Because somehow, tell me what you think. It's hard to talk about these things, but like right now, there is at least a partial absence of God in the world. Because
So
what
Ben, can you bring the video up?
what video?
Bring a video up.
The ancient history of universalism. It's in the private chat.
Okay, so you want me to?
Yeah, it goes through the Eastern fathers versus the Latin fathers.
Yeah, but I don't like John Crowder. But it's my problem.
What I was asking in a universalist sense, would the absence of good and the absence of love?
I'm not sure if I understand why you are asking that, honestly.
Well, just because you brought it up, and I was thinking here about universalism, it would be God acting out an absence of good and an absence of love through the creature somehow.
Ace, help me. Am I stupid or what? I just
But
don't
you don't
understand.
understand why I'm asking that.
No.
In the universalist sense, if it's directed by God, is God directing the absence of love and the absence of good
Okay, I
in
see.
the creature?
This is what even the Orthodox mystics, I mean, the deepest ones would say, yeah. Absolutely. Like if you read Job, this is what you see also. Job complains about that. In my own life, I could testify about that. And how it works, I don't know, but he withdraws from your life. Now,
Because
how could I talk about that? Because he is still there, you see? He is still present, but a special presence that I previously enjoyed is suddenly no longer there. So he withdraws. This is the way the human being experiences that, you see, as an absence. Now, in the Orthodox Church, this is well documented. They call that acedia. It's well documented. It's a kind of spiritual depression where you are sure God is absent from your life. But now, this is in the Eastern tradition. This acedia, this depression, is necessary for them, according to them, for you to become a saint. Because Jesus knew what it was to be forsaken. And you will also know what it is. And I know we don't want to talk about these things. But anyway, it's almost a taboo topic, I guess.
I don't know. I don't think it's taboo.
Because people can be scared, and it's not a Halloween scary movie. Because behind that there is love, glory, life, goodness. You see, your suffering as a meaning. Anyway, sorry, it's almost. It does not sound like a debate. Sorry.
Yeah, step it up a bit, all right, buddy?
But it's a very deep topic. I mean, what does Paul? I think now I understand your question. Ace, help me. When Paul says that the entire creation is groaning,
Yeah, that's Romans 8:21.
yeah, but who is the cause of that groaning? I mean, absolutely speaking.
we can't say in JG's presence.
No,
Oh,
but
you
I
can
don't
say-
want to argue by asking that question. Probably JG understands that ultimately God is the cause of things, but of course we could name other causes. I mean, my own crap, for example, could be a cause.
Well,
in the Orthodox,
before 21, we get to 20, which says God subjects the entire creation to vanity against its will.
I will not play John Crowder, okay, if you don't mind,
Okay.
but I can find a similar video.
hmm
the Orthodox teaches primary and secondary causes.
Repeat that, please.
The Orthodox teaches primary and secondary causes.
Yeah, which comes from Aristotle. It's classic logic. Yeah. Now the question is a secondary cause bound by the first one?
Well, in a sense, yes, because everything is bound to the first cause. Is it completely directed and dictated by the first cause? No, that's why it's called a secondary cause.
But everything that the secondary cause has been received by the first.
It's a way, a way of making an analogy is like the parent to the child. The child could say that my parent is primary cause. Nothing I can do would be possible without that cause. However, things that I am choosing to do are my responsibility as a separate creature.
I remember when I was studying Thomas Aquinas, I remember I remember the phrase in Latin and in French and now in English. The human beings have the dignity of being a cause. Okay? Now, this is a scary sentence. I mean, it's not a sentence you should take lightly, because what do you think about that? You have the dignity of being a cause.
It's the way it is, whether you like it or not.
For me, it's
Yeah.
very heavy.
You're here, deal with it, type of thing.
But for Thomas Aquinas, it was a dignity
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that.
because it distinguishes you from, I don't know, a fish, according to Thomas Aquinas.
Sure. Does it not distinguish you from another man, every other man?
I mean, a fish also will cause things around him, huh? But Thomas Aquinas was referring to another dignity. I mean, the one that you see, by which you become an agent. An agent.
Yeah, there is a distinction, a moral distinction in a man versus a fish. We're made in the image of God. The fish isn't. Sorry, Darwin.
The most remarkable woman I met in my life never believed in free will, and at the end of her life, she was writing her last things, you see, and it was quite deep. But she suddenly she was over 85, and she began suddenly to talk about free will. And I asked her, why free will? And she said, "Oh, you see, it's a necessity in theology." She said,
Right.
See,
Necessity in
yeah,
theology.
yeah, I mean, it is true that when there is no free will, your theology will sound not really Christian, because we just talked about orthodoxy. Like, even though many of them believe in salvation, the universal salvation, nevertheless, they do believe in free will. You see, like if you don't believe in free will, people will think you are not a Christian.
Well, that's because the
Maybe a
Catholics promoted
Calvinist,
it.
maybe. Yeah.
The Catholics promoted it as the story of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe
so
a
it's been around
Calvinist.
for a long time.
Yeah, you were saying it's necessary in theology. I guess it would also be necessary in debate.
Because for her, it was necessary because she was talking about self and no self. She was always talking about deep topics, but suddenly at the end of her life, she needed the concept of free will to justify the crap of the self. If I can summarize things very quickly,
Yeah,
you
that's
see.
it, right? That's what people want to do. They want to get rid of the self. So
But she
if
wanted to justify also the crap of the self,
well, that's the point, right? Like the self carries a bunch of crap. So if we can
of course.
tell ourselves that there is no self, then we can unload the crap and be free.
Oh yeah, but be careful. The Christian should never. We are not Buddhists. A Christian should never say there is no self. A Christian should say the self exists, but the self must die. This is the
No, I'm
Christian
talking
saying.
about the universalist. I know that
Universalists don't say that there is no self. If they say that,
well,
they
I've
don't
been,
know what they are talking about.
well, Greg just said that the other day. So
He said there is no self. Yeah, but I mean, people can say many things. I also say many things, but if we take our time,
it's kind of a key point when you're talking to someone who says there's no self, because who
yeah,
are you
yeah.
talking to?
Yeah, but we should ask him what he meant by that. If he means, because I know him, he
I
likes to
know
take
the
the
answer.
perspective. He
The
likes to
answer
bring,
goes into, oh, that's just in the relative,
yeah.
which is a game.
He takes the perspective. This perspective is as old as the history of philosophy. You
When
have
I
the
can't, when you can't answer and make sense, it goes somewhere else. It's beyond logic. It's the absolute and the relative. It becomes something else. You can argue it up to a point, and then you have to appeal to mysticism.
yeah,
And
but
some,
just a moment. In Orthodox theology, by the way, they teach that all the members of the church are mystics. This is another topic maybe you can read about. All the members of the church are mystics. This is true Orthodox theology. All members of the church have a direct experience of the Lord.
well, I'm talking about mystic in the sense of mystical theology, where when we end a line of thinking and a line of discussion because we can't put it into words and appeal to that.
But there is such a thing as an absolute perspective.
How did
Also,
you find out?
yeah, but how do you find that there is only a relative perspective? This is what I would like to find out.
Well, I asked the universalist.
Nada, but you yourself, do you have an absolute perspective about anything?
No,
So it's all relative.
no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I have a perspective made after the image of God as the creature.
Okay.
We can think God's thoughts after him, though we can't know the entirety of his thoughts. That's how we have knowledge.
Okay. But Greg would not say otherwise.
I know Greg would say otherwise.
Not about what you just said, I guess. He would never say that he knows everything.
Well, it came up when there was self-righteousness being pointed out. It occurred to me, what is being termed as self-righteous? It would have to be a figure of speech, it seems, in the universalist philosophy, to be self-righteous. If there's
I
no
don't know. What do you mean by universalist? I mean, universalists
well, when I speak of
are
when I speak of
not
universalists,
Buddhists.
well, no, I'm talking universalists in the sense of this channel.
Okay.
This is typically the universalist
Okay.
theology that I
You are,
engage with.
yeah.
It's talking about self-righteous Christians. You start asking, well, what is the self-righteousness in the Christian if he's a fully determined vessel of God? What is the self actually doing in the Christian? And that's where it gets interesting. That's where the answer gets interesting, or the lack of answer
we should look at the Greek, because self-righteousness is an English concept. We should look at the Greek behind that. But the word self exists in Greek.
Well, I mean, typically it applies to an action, a behavior, a thought, the existence of the creature, the distinction between that being and the creator. You spoke of Buddhism and the universalist. It seems there is a
It's because in Buddhism, you have to discover that yourself is an illusion.
well, that's right. That's where the universalist takes part.
Yeah,
in
but
this.
it's serious. It's a serious thing. I mean, you need a life to discover what is the truth, and yourself is an illusion. Now, this is not the Christian message.
Right.
The Christian message is you do have a self, but it will die, and you will be given a new person. You will be renewed. This is Christian. This is not Buddhist.
Okay.
So you have a self. So if we say we have, I also say that sometimes I have no self. But what I mean, we have to be prudent. What do we mean by that? If I say I have no self, what do I mean by that? Do I mean that I don't
That's Greg.
exist? I mean, I
the last
died. I died in the love of God, and I have less self, and I'm. You see, I'm less full of myself, and I'm more full of His Spirit. Maybe
I don't know. Why don't you ask Greg? That's the last
I've
thing.
been waiting for somebody to ask me. I wasn't going to butt in.
because when He
But
says,
as I've said many times, we're all characters on God's stage. There's no
There is.
real self to ourself. We're
Illusion.
executing a script according to what God wants us to deliver to His story.
okay, stop, just a moment, Greg. So you see, JG, he is saying that he has no authorship in reality. He is saying that he is not the cause, the proper of anything, absolutely speaking, which is absolutely an argument you can have in philosophy, absolutely. Like he is not the author of reality.
Yeah, you can. Well, we know he's not the author of all reality.
Or any reality.
Right. So he puts himself in an illusory state. And that's going to be a problem for his line of argumentation, because what follows from an illusion would necessarily be more illusory.
But he does exist, but not in the sense that he believed he existed before. So now he does exist, but he exists in God and not without Him. I'm sure you would say.
His actual existence changed, or his perception of existence?
Yeah. But many Christians would say the same thing. Augustine said the same exact thing. Augustine even said that imagine that, he said, when I sin within God. And he's the founder of Christian theology almost.
Oh, yeah, I recall Paul.
This is the doctrine of illumination with Augustine. When I sin within God, because I cannot escape God. So there is that doctrine, which is from Paul, of course, which is everything you do is done in God.
In God, meaning as part of God's creation.
Meaning you have your breath, your movement, your being, your life, everything in Him, according to Paul himself.
In God's will. See, you sin.
Yeah,
but
we try. We try with human logic to understand what is hard to understand. Even the Bible talks about the mystery of iniquity. I mean, personally, do you understand evil? Honestly, I don't.
No, I was trying to focus in on something there. He's saying sin within God, meaning God is the cause, the author, and the will behind the action of you sinning. That's where the contention is.
Yeah, if we try to understand. Remember, with Ace, we shared a passage where you see you have very nice passage where you have the wicked hands who crucified the Lord, and in the same passage, it says that it was all like predetermined by God. So you have in the same passage the two, and you can see the cause. You have a relative cause, like the wicked hands and all that, the wicked people who crucified him. They did that. They really did that.
They really did that. In other words, they were really directed and controlled to do such a thing as an act, as a play.
I mean, you will tell me, like, I would like to understand, like, all the intricacies of reality, but they really did that. But now the same passage says that it was foreknown, I guess you say in English. It was predetermined, yeah.
So they really did it. But if they really did it in just the relative, absolutely speaking, that's an illusory reality.
Illusory, I don't know. Illusion is a notion that is not really a Christian thing. And to say that, like, it's from India, maybe from Greek philosophy, to say something is an illusion, because in Hebrew scripture, everything is a reality somehow.
Well, yeah.
There is no doctrine of illusion like you will find with the Buddha or with Shankara or with Plato.
I'm saying you find it here in the universalist camp. Essentially, you find the same concept reworded. The relative acting out of the creature is an illusion.
Yeah. When they say that, there is an influence from India. When we say that, like in the modern world, okay, when we say that, Greg, me, anyone who would say that, like my life is just an illusion. When we say that, I understand why we say that, okay? But it's not the best vocabulary, because this is Hindu vocabulary.
I don't think I know. That's where I bring to the table that you've got a merging of Christianity and Hinduism here. They don't
in the vocabulary.
Hold on, let me finish. Yeah. They don't say it outright, but when you ask them the right questions, you extract it. They don't say it outright. They reduce themselves to an illusion in their philosophy. That's the point.
Oh yeah. But the Christians also, they have many aspects of their doctrines that are influenced by Hinduism. By the way.
By what?
By Hinduism.
I mean, what sect of Christians? You're just bringing up like.
We would open a door and have a great long conversation. I don't know if you want to have it right now, but yes, we could anytime talk about the relationship between Hinduism and Christianity, of course. Absolutely.
Well, this is the place to do it, because that's what universalism is doing.
Yeah, but you would have to define what you mean by universalism. You mean
the universalism.
Greg and Ace and
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Keeping it localized to the universalists in this camp.
Okay,
yes.
So I need to take a break for 2 minutes. So in the meantime, I would like Ace and Greg. What do they mean by universalism? Because for me, it's a concept that is not clear.
No doubt.
What do we mean by universalism? I'm a universalist, but I would have to clarify my concepts. Yeah.
I can simplify how I see it, and that's it all came out of God, and at the end of the story, that same all is going to be back in God. There's nothing going to be left out.
Which, by the way, is
absolute universalism.
Yeah, which, by the way, is a very old Christian doctrine we call exitus reditus. Everything exits and everything comes back.
So I never really heard you say you were a universalist, Ben. That's interesting.
Yeah, but not in the sense that we use the word on this channel. So
you're not one of these guys. I understand.
No, but I mean, I use it in another sense.
Well, I mean, do you consider you as the creature has any responsibility in this realm?
Me?
Yes, you.
I don't exist enough to answer your question.
I'm sorry, what?
I do not exist enough to answer your question.
And what does that mean?
I'm joking. I'm trying to joke.
I know. I want an answer, though.
Personally, I sincerely believe that we play a role, of course.
Oh, it's a movie. Okay.
right? Oh, no, this is not what I said. This is dangerous to speak
I
for
know.
other people.
I'm not really speaking for you. I'm just playing along with you. Go
I'm
ahead.
saying that I play a role. I'm an agent. I do something. Right now, I do something. It's not an illusion.
That's a good start.
But I'm saying with Isaiah that my perspective is not the Lord's perspective. So I
Right.
will not say that I'm an illusion. My life is full of illusions, of course, but I would never say that my life itself is an illusion. That would be
Right.
actually it would be a blaspheme.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And the question,
But
if you will, is specifically about
yeah,
responsibility.
but now this is my way. But what does Isaiah say about that my way? He says, you have your way and I have my own way. And the words that are used are thoughts. Now the word in Hebrew, machshev, is the word that gave computer. The word computer in modern Hebrew. So it's you see, my device, my plan, my own computer. This is what Isaiah says. So Isaiah does not say you don't have your own computer, you don't have your own way, and you don't have your own devices and everything. But the text says he has his own. Okay? Now I am saying that my life is not an illusion, but my way is not his way. And I'm interested in knowing his way. You understand that? Not my way. His way.
So there's a
That to say,
distinction,
though,
obviously.
I was going to ask what. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
This is what Isaiah says. And he says, cease from man. What do you think about that, JJ? Cease from man. Cease
no.
from your way.
I see a distinction being made.
So this is my prudent answer to your question. Without barking, I tried not barking, you see.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's really an answer, but you did say something, so all right.
At least I said something.
So you
I can
are
give a comment.
responsible
Go ahead.
as a secondary cause, as a creature.
Yes,
The distinction.
and also as a member of society. Yeah. If I killed a neighbor, it's certainly not you who did that. It's me.
No, but maybe God had you do it. That's more what
Yeah,
I'm
but we
asking.
should
I'm
not mix up the perspectives. This is another point I have.
I'm not asking if you kill a man, did I do it? Right? You know that. I'm asking if you kill a man, are you responsible or is God responsible? Since you brought up that example.
Actually, according to the passage with the wicked hands and all that, we are both responsible, but not for the same reason.
If you kill a man, we're both responsible.
Yeah, I'm responsible, but God is also responsible for everything that happens. He is God. There is no randomness.
How are you both responsible? You're
Did you
saying
hear what he said,
This-
JG? There's
This is what
no
the passage
randomness.
says. Yeah. No randomness. Yeah, there is no randomness.
you're accountable, then you're not responsible.
Yeah, we can say things like that, but I would never kill someone and say, who cares? God did that.
Well, sometimes when you're hashing these things out, it's helpful to use an island analogy because, of course, in society, it's going to have an effect if you kill somebody. But if you are on an island with me alone, when there's no one else there, and you kill me, it could be a different sort of thought experiment.
Yes, of course. But my point is that, you know what Meister Eckhart, 12th century in Germany, Middle Ages, he said, everything in God is God. And he was condemned by the church for saying that. But people never understood what he said. They were just excited to condemn Meister Eckhart. But what he said was true. He said everything in him. You see? But the problem is that we don't have that perspective right now of being absolutely in him. You see? So we took one sentence out of context and we condemned him.
Yeah.
But Paul would say similar things, crazy things like that. But the problem is that if everything in God is God, now continue the sentence. You see, everything like is not God, like from the other perspective.
Well, I think it's where privation, the idea of privation, sits. That the creature engaging in evil
Yeah.
is an idea of privation, the absence of God.
Wow, I like that. You would prove no free will if you continue like that.
I don't think so.
But I see your point. Because right now, if you would be without privation, think about that. You would be full of light.
Yeah.
Would you sin?
It would be called in Christ Jesus.
Yeah, but would you sin at that point?
No,
Why?
because you're in Christ Jesus, full deification.
And would you have the free will to be not to be?
Well, that's a great question because being in Christ Jesus would be the absence of your will, essentially.
Oh yeah, so you are more into it than I am. I like that. Because you will have a will. This is so interesting. If God created your will, he wants you to have a will. You see, the problem on this channel is I don't know if we understand the concept of the adjective free. When we talk about free will, the problem is the adjective free.
Yeah, it gets in the way of a lot of the ideas and concepts. It wouldn't be completely free of assumptions, presuppositions, experiences that we carry with us.
Even Thomas Aquinas said, how could my will be free? Like, I mean, I'm influenced by the stars and the planets and you see, my parents. And
Yeah.
even in this 12th, 13th century, he was asking that. How could I be free? I mean, I could just die 2 minutes in 2 seconds. I could just drop dead.
Right. There could be a preferable way to talk about these things than say free will, because it's all obviously bound to other aspects of experience, inevitably.
A great French saint told God in a famous prayer, and she told him, take your free will back. Because I can sin with that crap. Famous prayer, take it back. Anyway, I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
I do
But
too.
other people would like to talk, so I will just
Yeah.
stop. Another thing, JJ, if I can say something, there is also your flesh nature. This is
Yes.
what Paul says. When you sin, who sins? Paul is very clear with that.
It is sin in him, in
Yes,
his flesh.
yes, and also your flesh sins.
Right. So it's sort of you could say a wrestling match between spirit and flesh, the human
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, and spirit is increasing in your life. And flesh cannot increase. Flesh decreases.
Good point.
So you see, when you sin, of course, it's the flesh. Let's say the flesh is responsible. Let's blame the flesh. Of course, ultimately, Greg or someone, yeah, but God created the flesh. Yeah, we can say about everything. And by the way, Buddhists, Hindus, Christian, Jews, everybody would agree with that. Everything is from God. But to be like more concrete, like more realistic, who sins? Like right now, I kill someone. Who sins? Like really, like concretely, it's the flesh. You cannot. I cannot say like God like killed someone in my place.
Right.
Not in that sense. When we say God kills, do you think that we say that in the same sense that I kill?
Well, no, I don't think that's
No,
what
it's
it
not the same
means,
thing.
but I think that gets
Because
thinking.
when I kill, I do something evil. I take someone's life, okay? But when God kills you, he is doing exactly what he is supposed to do and what he has the right to do, which is not the same thing. So when I kill, I do evil. When he kills, he does good, actually. He does good. He is good.
Yeah, it's consistent with his nature.
Yeah.
If the clay doesn't understand that, so be
Yeah.
it.
Because I'm not able to give life to someone, okay? But if I would be able to really give life to someone, I would have the right maybe to kill also. But I don't.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I would kill you if I would be able to resurrect you 2 seconds after. You see, I'm not. You see my point. I'm not a master of life, so I'm not. I have no right on death either. So now,
Yeah.
if I kill someone, I do something evil. Yeah. And Paul says, "This is the flesh."
So God creating the flesh and God
I
spirit.
I would say, sorry, JJ. I would say some contention
Go
with
ahead.
that, considering.
You're really low though.
Am I? Here, let me turn up my volume.
Yeah, the volume
Give me a
is not
second.
correct.
Is that better?
Yep.
All right. What I was gonna say is, the whole murder thing seems a little bit odd, considering. It's, to me, it seems like a bad angle, like what you get killed for, considering Moses killed that person. And then after he killed them, we see him in the Transfiguration talking with Christ. So if anything with had murder to do with it, and why would we be mentioning it's bad to murder when, not to say Moses got away with it, but forgiven, so to speak, is the kind of the angle that I'm going for. So it goes to both, kind of go to everyone's argument, the universalist and to what JG was saying to some degree. But yeah.
Ace, what is? I need to go soon. Ace, what is the passage with the wicked hands and pre the preordained crucifixion?
Acts chapter 2, I believe. Let me bring it up.
I have it.
Oh, good.
Chapter what?
2.
I think this is a good basis for a conversation. Always. What is the verse? You will not tell me, huh?
I'm looking for it.
Okay. $23. This.
Yeah.
So now, JG, I mean, I know we already talked about that, but why not talk about it again? And he fell asleep.
No, you start.
Oh, yeah. So the text is clear. I'm being delivered by the determinate counsel. So this is a cause being delivered. This is a cause. But you have taken, and by wicked hands have crucified. This is another cause of the same thing. This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I just look
It's
at
not easy to understand these things.
I do see what you mean here. Where the question becomes, is this in all cases?
Yes, it is in all cases.
How did you come to that determination?
Wow, that's
Because I came to that determination by the blessed gift of faith before you ever showed up and said, wait a minute, how did you come to that determination? Everything
that's-
happens by the determinate counsel of God, and everything happens by
also
your
by
favorite
this.
secondary causes.
That sounds like an emotional answer from Ace. Maybe you could try Ben.
Yeah, but I just want to say one thing. At least with this passage, I'm speaking to everyone. We cannot say that the wicked hands are just an illusion. They really did that.
Right.
So it's not a Buddhist statement. They really, Ace would never disagree. He would never say the wicked hands were not there.
Well,
Am I
it's
right,
not that
Ace?
he wouldn't say that outright, but you could conceptually explore his full philosophy and determine that he is saying that.
Because what Isaiah would say, this is what I said 5 centuries ago. He would say, the first part of the sentence is God's way, and the second part is my way. I mean, I think this is very clear in the verse.
You understood my contention, though, right? This verse,
Should be
The
if
question
it could be
was-
applied to everything.
yes, is this verse itself universal for every moment of every human's existence?
Right. So last Wednesday, George stepped on a fly, and it was all George's fault. The way you question this, JG, pisses me off royally because you want to get rid of the determinate counsel of God and just focus on man. Oh, let's talk about the secondary cause.
Ace, please,
I'm
it's a-
sick of this shit.
it's a legitimate question you're having.
It is
so-
not a legitimate. It's a
You're
question
having-
of a doubter. You doubt the godness of God.
You're having
Please
an
behave,
emotional.
Ace, please.
He's having an emotional response for some reason, but
Because you're
Yes.
ridiculous, and I've listened to your trap, your clap
well,
trap.
guess what? If I
many hours.
follow your philosophy correctly,
Well,
you should be-
this verse 23 gives equal credence to both the determinate counsel and the wicked hands. I don't hear anything from you about the determinate counsel.
I
Not
don't
one
dis-
ounce. You always want to talk about the wicked hands and man's responsibility to not have wicked hands.
you're kind of going all over the place here. I'm focusing on the verse. I'm asking if it's in all cases at all times, how we're determining that this specific
Okay,
situation.
here's how we determine it. Ephesians 1:11 says God is operating all things by the counsel of his will. It doesn't say some things, and it doesn't say man's will. God is operating all things by the counsel of his will.
So when we look at that verse, does that disclude the fact that the counsel of his will may give the human being or the creature limited choices?
Yes, Jesse Pinkman, it does disclude it.
And how did you come to that particular determination?
It's called The Secret of God's Will, and that's the
Oh, it's
last half of
secret.
it.
Well, I mean, I understand your guys' strategy by this point. It's not really answering.
What's your strategy? JJ?
Whoa. Let's lower that volume. Coming in like a freight train, that one. I don't know. I think it's a fair question. I mean, I'm not disputing the verse here in Acts that God did this.
Yes, you are disputing it.
Oh.
You're saying, oh, it's limited to just Acts 2:23. It never happens again. Don't worry about it. Clean your hands up, boys and girls. You are responsible for your own sins, and you're going to go to hell.
kind of going into a straw man there. He's asking the determination of why this is all people at all times. You said Ephesians 3:11, right?
1:11, Ephesians 1:11.
Okay.
3:11 talks about God's Eonian purpose, which could be used to reinforce this whole idea. The very fact that God has a purpose and that it's an Eonian purpose would nullify your notion that man determines his own eternal destiny.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, it is worth saying. Whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm doubting, whatever self-righteous acts you think I'm engaging in, you always need to remember that your theology dictates that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to. There's no need to get emotional.
Tell me about your wicked hands, OJG.
You understand what I'm saying to you, right?
Tell me about your wicked hands. I want to see them. Go ahead and turn your camera on. Let me see here. See my hands?
It's like,
They're wicked.
Technically, the definition, like in a newer translation, turns into lawless men, not necessarily that each and every individual's hands are wicked. So it only goes for those who are not of the law. So if he's completely law binding, he can't have any wicked hands because he's following the law. It's only for
Right.
technically it's addressed to the Gentiles if you want to go by law status. Because it's only talking about the law there. It's not talking about like everyone has dirty hands to rub in. It's only talking pertaining to the law.
Sorry. I have a question, if I may.
Go ahead.
What does your theology dictate, JG?
Good question.
is there a specific question?
Yes, he said, what does your theology dictate?
A specific question about what's in question?
No.
Just
No, I want a broader view. You just accused or said something to Ace Theo just now about if you follow what his theology dictates, then that logically follows. And now I'm asking you, JG,
So
what
do you
does your
understand? Do you
theology-
understand what I was
what does-
speaking of? Do you understand what I was talking to Ace about when I was talking about his theology in his
Do
worldview?
you understand the question I'm asking you?
No,
He's
I don't.
deflecting from it. He doesn't want to answer it.
I know.
I just think you're interfering where you don't need to interfere by trying to do some
Oh,
sort of
you're the
reversal.
first person to tell us to explain ourselves to you, but when somebody asks you to explain yourself to us, you get
So I was pointing
What
out to
does-
Ace. I was pointing out to Ace that in his view, as I understand it, earlier I made a point about his particular view, which he's not disputing. And then this guy Thomas is just busting, oh yeah, what's your view? I'm obviously opposing his view by pointing out his theology. It's pretty simple.
I know it's pretty simple. You're opposing his view. What does your theology dictate where you choose that opposition to his view?
It would have to be a question specifically about what I'm opposing in order to get into the specifics.
You just said you were holding the opposing view of Ace Theo, correct?
Are you follow not in all ways, but are you following the conversation in a way where you said,
Yes, I'm following the conversation.
so what was I opposing him on in particular?
That's what I'm asking you. Do you not know what you were opposing?
You're asking me what I was
I'm-
opposing him on because you know what I was opposing him on.
It's really simple, JG. What does your theology dictate on the point that you were opposing Ace
What
Theo
point?
on?
What point?
The point that you just brought up, JG.
Which was what?
Why are you asking me a question? Why can't you just answer?
Because you don't know what
I'm
you're
asking
talking. I'm
you?
pointing out that you don't know what you're actually asking. You're just
All
interjecting.
right, here was your glorious grand point. So what that the determinate counsel of God pulled off one thing, but it doesn't pull off everything. Yeah, God can't be bothered with pulling off everything by his determinate counsel. Let's
And how-
concentrate on the secondary causes and just use a microscope and look at these secondary causes and just build a whole theology around secondary causes. Never mind the determinate counsel and foreknowledge of God.
And I'd like to know what your theology dictates.
I'll tell you what his, since
on
he won't
that,
give you an answer,
JG.
he will not give you an
It's
answer. I'll
not a
tell you.
clear question. It's not a clear question.
His
It's not a
determinate
clear question still. Come
his
on, man.
theology is that there is no such thing as the determinate counsel and foreknowledge of God.
No,
Let's
that's not correct.
You're so dishonest, JG. It's unreal. You can't even answer that simple of a question.
There's
You
not
have
it's
to
not a
twist-
clear.
You
I've
have to
already pointed
twist
it.
and turn
What makes it
and
not a clear
dodge.
question?
and repeatedly say it's not a clear question. You're
The
being
question is,
so
okay, what is your
dishonest right now, and everybody here sees it, JG.
a man asked, what does your theology dictate? Like
It's
in what
dishonest,
regard?
JG.
In regard to what? You're talking about Acts 2:23?
Then why did you say?
Why are
to
you talking to me, dude?
ACO,
Hey, Doubting Thomas, why are you
your
talking to
theology
me?
dictates.
Why are you talking to me, Doubting Thomas? That's the next question. Why are you talking to me?
Why can't you answer a question, JG?
I don't care to talk to you, Doubting Thomas. I don't find your conversations or your statements fruitful or engagements with you. Why are you talking to me?
Because you're here. And
Why are
I'm
you
here.
talking to me? I don't.
Yeah, technically, you're
I don't
supposed to be
understand.
God's
That's not-
representative, and you're
hold
here.
on.
You're here.
Hold
You're here
on.
asking him why he's.
I'm not interested in talking to you, Doubting Thomas. Do you understand?
That's I don't JG, I don't understand your question when you ask me why am I here talking to you? Could you make it a little clearer?
That's funny.
Oh, did he just leave?
I put him in the backstage
Oh.
for a
Yeah.
minute because
The question is, why are you talking to me? I don't want to talk to you. That's the follow-up. You got it?
No, I don't understand.
I don't want to
what
talk
you
to
mean
you.
by why am I here talking to you? Could you rephrase? Could you make the question simpler for me? I don't understand what you're asking me right now, JG.
you're so funny.
Kind of makes him a bad faith actor if you think about it. I mean, it
Well,
really
he's
is a
not
simple
being
question.
honest at all.
Well, yeah. I mean,
All
like,
right.
who's he to stop God from sending DT to talk to him? I don't want to talk to you. Well, God's put him in your path. What are you going to do about it? You're gonna walk away. You're gonna be the anointed kid. I don't want to talk to you. Are you gonna answer this man's question that God's thrown him at you? No, you can't even do that. It's kind of pathetic, JG.
Yeah, is it? Ace,
It is.
I mean, okay.
You're a representative of God, and you're like, I don't want to talk to you.
I'm trying to be honest. I don't want to talk to DT. Is that okay? Or do I have to talk to him?
That's kind of a lot of pressure
I think
put on someone.
why can't you ignore his personality and just answer the question straightforward? Why can't you just pretend that it's someone else asking the question? Because it's a legitimate question.
Yeah, so you guys, Ace, you're just gonna keep putting me backstage for no reason. If you put me back there again, I'll just leave. I'll just assume that I'm out. All right, no problem.
Well,
But
you should be absolutely thrilled to the point of orgasm because DT is not in the talking heads anymore.
No, I'm not worried about him. I don't have interest in him. I'm trying to make that clear. He's playing games.
Do you
Okay.
have interest in answering my question?
Sometimes I do. Depends on what it is.
Okay. How have you determined that the determination of God doesn't apply to everyone?
I haven't as far as this verse. I was reading it when Ben brought it up, and I've explored it with you guys before, and I see the words in front of me here about.
Can you believe?
Can I finish?
No. Can you believe
you're
that the
gonna ask-
determinate power of God controls everything?
I mean, if you're not going to let me finish the explanation, what's the point? You ask me a question, I'm not answering. You ask me a question, I can't finish. I mean, what's the game we're playing here?
Go ahead.
I'm looking at this verse saying, yes, this is a specific case in the crucifixion, right? I think you understand what I'm asking you. How do we know that this is the case for every action of man at all times? That's what's coming into question. How you
What
determine.
makes you doubt that God is not in control of his creation?
Well, that's not the same question.
Yes, it is. What makes you doubt that God doesn't give a fuck about what's going on in every aspect of his creation? He
That's
only cares about one thing, verse 23. Everything
No,
else, hands off.
You're isolating what he cares about, and you're bringing in different phraseology. I'm merely asking how this verse, why this particular circumstance is the case in all cases, all the time. How you determine that? That was the original question. And you said Ephesians 1:11. Okay, well, if that's your answer for now, that's fine. I'll consider that. What do you want me to do?
I want you to believe God and
Well,
not philosophy.
And not philosophy. Okay. I mean, whatever I do, if I understand your stance correctly, is what God is willing me to do. There's no need to get upset. Am I wrong about that?
Could you repeat
Wait,
that?
that's kind of a trick question, isn't it? I didn't do that on purpose when I said, am I
I
wrong?
was just gonna ask if you could repeat it because I got a little turned around by your question. I need to hear it.
Halsey, you want that repeated?
If you can get back to it, or I could just run it back in the recording, I suppose.
I'm just where, in Ace's worldview, we're all where God wants us to be. If I'm opposing God, if I'm doubting God, I'm where I'm supposed to be. If I'm choking him out, it's what I'm supposed to be doing. That's where that example comes up. So for him to get emotional with me or upset or say, I want you to do this, I want you to believe this, it's all in God's time. There's no need to get upset. And then I said, am I wrong? And that
How
becomes
about, do you have wicked hands?
like all the time.
Did you sin which drove Christ to the cross?
Interesting way to put it. Timing seems off.
Christ died for all sin and all sinners. So can we say that you are right here in verse 23? You were the wicked hands, you crucified and slain.
Well, as a figure of speech, I would say, if it's God determining all the hands and it's full direction by him, to say that it's wicked, where's the actual wicked act? Is that where you go into the relative?
It sounds like you're just thinking out loud. You haven't really come to a conclusion.
No, it's pretty clear.
It's not clear. You're just.
All right, let me try to rephrase it for you. I'm saying, if this is all the will of God, my hands, your hands, the centurions who crucified Christ, if it's all the will of God, to call it wicked seems to be a figure of speech. I'm asking if that's where you go into the relative.
Do you see the relative in verse 23?
It must be the wicked hands.
Do you see the absolute in verse 23?
It must be the determinate counsel.
Well, what do you make of that, Bucky?
Yeah, so the wicked hands are a figure of speech in the absolute, right? In the absolute sense, there is no wicked.
You tell me.
That's a question for you. I
don't have any problem with this. You're the one who recoils at verse 23.
Well, I mean, where did you come up with that idea? Sitting here going over it with you, what's the recoiling?
You recoil by saying, well, this doesn't happen in all cases. It just happened one time.
It's a question. It's not a recoiling.
It's it is the very fact that it's a question means it's your stance. It doesn't happen all the time. There's no the determinate counsel of God does not happen all the time. It just happened one time with the cross, or very important things, but not our daily lives. So God can't be bothered with our daily lives.
Okay. I don't know why you're getting bothered by this.
I am bothered because you believe in yourself. And your whole message is all about the self and the glorification of the self. You're a solipsistic asshole, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay. If that's so, then you're calling a determined vessel of God, which you also are, what you're just calling me. It sounds like you're complaining, you're upset, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So, again, what's the issue? What's the argument?
I'll show you. So, with your love of free will and how you determine your own destiny with your own decisions and moral behavior, you are offering divine service to the creature rather than the creator. You don't allow for God to determine the outcome of his own creation. You make a big deal over human responsibility. Does the word responsibility even show up in the Bible? No. But you've got plenty to say about human responsibility.
The idea of
you take responsibility out of God's hands by exalting man's responsibility.
The word responsibility doesn't appear, but the concept of man's ability to respond does appear.
Do you think that the creature determines his own eternal destiny?
Well, how could the creature be a part of an eternal destiny if the creature is limited, right?
Does the creature establish the relationship between the creator and the creature? Does the creator establish the relationship between the creator?
How would a creature establish a relationship with the creator? That, of course, it doesn't make sense. The creator establishes all things. What's in question is how the creator has established it.
By the determinate counsel and foreknowledge of God.
That's what we see here in Acts 2:23. The question again is, how did we determine that this particular verse and circumstance applies over all humans all the time in all cases? And you went to Ephesians 1:11. Do you want to pull that?
Yeah, no, I don't have to pull it up. I just quoted it to you. Tell me, you give me a verse that says I'm full of shit.
Oh, I don't think I need a verse for that. You could probably run through some of the streams.
You don't want to do any verses.
No, we could run through some streams if we want to prove that. We don't go to verses to prove that Ace is full of shit, right?
Give me one verse that says that God is not operating all things by the counsel of his will.
Oh, the verse that says that? I don't know that the verse that says that.
How about one verse that says it wasn't God who subjected creation to vanity against its will?
Well, I mean, when we take the idea of what God is, that he's not evil, and then we see the evil of the creature, that would be a broad example of the privation of good through the creature, through the act of the creature. So if the evil that the creature is involved in is just the act of God, then we've got a lot of figures of speech all throughout the scriptures, which is pretty much the direction I would go into if I was to continue with you at this point, because a lot of the readings of Paul would become figures of speech based on the way you view this.
When you say figure of speech, are you talking about words that don't mean exactly what they say? They mean something either exaggerated or something different, or what do you mean exactly by that? When it comes to the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
Where did Ben go? He was enjoyable to talk to.
He BRB'd.
God is operating all things according to the counsel of his will. Ephesians 1:11.
God is helping Ben make a snack in the next room.
God is working all together for the good of those who are loving God, who are called according to his purpose that he foreknew. It's Romans 8:28.
God's got you really riled up tonight, Ace. That's cute.
I don't know. He doesn't really look that riled to me.
No, he's not anymore. But the concept behind it is, he's not responsible. Ace isn't responsible for what he's doing. It's all God. It's all good.
I mean, if that were true, don't you think that people would be going and doing all kinds of immoral things, saying, "I'm not responsible. I get to brush this off onto other people or my creator," because
Possibly. I mean, how do we know what these guys are doing? First of all, but
I mean,
it
you
can
see
work
him
both
for
ways.
hours a day here, and the other thing I know about Ace is that he tends a garden and has chickens and lives a somewhat simple life, I think. So I mean, I don't
The
know. I can't
question is-
imagine Ace doing a whole bunch of sin and thinking he's getting away with stuff.
Okay, well,
The secret life of Ace Theo.
Yeah.
He splits atoms by 3 o'clock in the afternoon and quells revolutions by 5 p.m.
Quells or inspires?
So you do not have a clear verse that says God is out of control.
out of control. You think that by designing a creature that has limited choices, that creature could make his ultimate plan be out of control? Come on now.
God is either in total control, partial control, or out of control.
I don't know that verse. That sounds like an Ace question.
Take your pick. Is God in total control? JG.
That sounds like an Ace verse. That doesn't sound
Is God in partial control, JG? Or is God out of control?
God has the control as a sovereign being that he wants to have and wills to have.
In other words, God is out of control.
No, it's not. Why is that, in other words?
There's problems assigning any of those three positions concretely, so I think that JG wants to keep it flexible.
Hey, easy. I don't need a spokeswoman, but
I'm just saying, like, that's what it sounds like to me. That,
Yeah. Well, we'll get to your fundamental standard of knowledge someday.
And
you
we'll
didn't-
get to
you
yours
didn't-
someday too.
You didn't answer his question, and there really are only three
I mean,
choices, right?
There really
He's
are
either-
only three choices.
As far as God's level of control of things, right? He's
And how
either
did you-
totally
how did
in
you-
control, partially in control, or not at all in control.
How did you learn about what a sovereign God is capable of?
I'm just saying that those are the three choices in lots
I
of
understand what you
situations.
said, and now I'm asking you how you came to the understanding of what a sovereign God is capable of, as far as
That's
control.
not, I'm only asking about the control level and what other choices there are.
We're talking about a sovereign God, creator of all things.
Hmm.
So
you'd
then
think, think it would be total control, that he would know and be able to control anything that he wanted at any time.
right, I would think that total control means he can do what he wants with his control, meaning
But
that if he wants to
my-
partially,
but-
here's the clicker. Okay, I'll give it to
Okay.
you. An all-powerful God, partially limiting his power if he wants to.
No, that's what I mean by keeping it flexible. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, that would be the middle answer.
Let me bring you up to speed, Halsey. A God who is in partial control is actually out of control.
Yeah, but see, that's the conclusion that Ace comes up with. But how's he going to explain it? You can partially limit your power and not be out of control. I mean, unless you're using out of control in a different way, like he's lost control. It slipped away from him. Is that the contention?
Doesn't have it at all, I would think.
You can have total control and then partially limit your power over your creature to be able to do certain things within certain parameters, but you don't lose control of creation itself, of the ultimate plan.
So you're
got a
saying,
scripture for that?
I mean, I don't have a scripture for that particular.
are you saying he's in total control but only exercises that total control sometimes?
The total control being like the all powerful, right?
I guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know how you necessarily would think about such things. How you think about sovereignty? How you think about a creator?
Well, if we look at God before anything was created, before there was Christ or mountains or the garden or anything, and all there is God, then he would have all sovereignty, all authority, and all power. What changed after this? He didn't give any of his sovereignty away. He's still the sovereign God. All authority still rests within his control.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you guys seem to think that sovereignty and an all-powerful God has to micromanage everything that you do.
Well, if he created creation, isn't that his right to micromanage it the way he wants it done?
It would be his right, of course. It would also be his
Ability,
his right to
his
do
purpose, his intention.
And it would be his moral responsibility to control his damn creation.
Good point, Ace. Good.
That's
point.
right. Yeah, if he doesn't control his creation, he's irresponsible.
If he doesn't
Morally
control
bankrupt.
everything that Ace if so, let me see if I get this right. If God doesn't control every behavior of Ace, that makes God immoral. That's the claim.
That is the claim, yes.
That's a new one.
If God is not responsible, God is irresponsible. You can't get out of it, JG.
Well, I see
You preach an irresponsible God, and that's why you keep telling everybody who will listen that God's moral laws is that you don't have sex and don't lie and cheat and steal.
Well, I don't think that
Otherwise you will determine your own destiny to be horrible.
Why are you strawmanning the idea of sex? I mean, God created sex to procreate. Let's not get stupid, okay? That's a dumb claim, but again,
why hasn't your moral God vanquished evil, JG?
Why would the creature be deciding what a moral and an immoral God is? You guys sound like atheists.
Why hasn't your moral God done away with evil, JG?
Why hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's your good only God, and you've said many times that God's not in control of evil.
He's
why hasn't he vanquished evil? Is evil that much stronger than your God?
Did you say he's my good only God? Is that what you said?
Well, yes, that's what he said, because that's what you say.
God doesn't.
Okay, so you guys have a God that's not good only. Is this what I'm hearing?
Oh, he's the creator of all. He's one. That's critical. God is one.
Is he evil or is he good or is he neither? What is he?
All came out of God, JG. That would include evil.
So he's partially evil. Is that the claim?
Well,
go ahead.
Please go ahead, Halsey.
I thought we weren't supposed to judge God's morality because, in essence, if God did it, it's good, no matter what it is, right?
Well, it all came out of God. It had to. That's what it says. Nothing else came into being which has come into being apart from it. So that would have to include evil and sin. But if we were to follow your narrative, JG, and it's only a good God, and evil is now invading his territory, why hasn't the good God vanquished that evil? Why hasn't the moral God done the moral thing?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, the framing of your particular question, but I am wondering what you're saying here, because you're saying you're a good God, but then when I ask what God you believe in, you neither answer good nor bad. You just say it's all, I guess.
Yeah, you like to communicate by deflection. You like to play dumb and stupid when you don't want to answer questions.
What's the
But
question you want me to
require
answer?
people to clarify their statements and their
Okay.
answers so that you can have understanding.
Okay, what's
Where's
the
the
question you need?
respect, JG?
Okay. What's the question you want to answer? And then I'll try to ask my question.
Why hasn't the good only God that you believe in, and you've said that many times, that God is good, he doesn't do evil. So why hasn't your good only God vanquished the evil that is apparently invading his good only creation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't agree with the framing of the question, but I'm just going to say I don't know.
Okay, well, that's an honest answer. I'm glad we got an honest answer out of you,
Yeah.
because it's just been deflection after deflection, and I really like to communicate with you.
So I was going to ask you, do you claim that I believe in a good only God? What is the God that you believe in? He's not a good only God.
Well, let's put it this way, JG. What's going on in John 1:5?
Are you going to have to refresh me on that?
For the light is appearing in the darkness, and the darkness grasped it not. Here we see the creation unfolding. This is the first real instant of what's going on in creation. The light has been formed, and when the light was formed, the darkness was created. Because as the light was there, darkness is the absence of all light, right? So the darkness was created when the light was formed. And isn't it true that Christ is the representative of all that is light, that is true, and that is good? And Satan is the representative of all that is evil, that is false, and is full of fear. So at this point in John 1:5, we have both forces in play. And all of creation takes place after John 1:5. But the evil was there, the darkness was there in the beginning, at the very beginning of the creation. And Christ even said this, that the adversary is there from the beginning. So he's a part of the story. He's a necessary character on the stage. He's the Darth Vader of God's Star Wars.
Oh, goodness.
He is the representative of evil.
Yeah. So is that particular verse in John 1:5, is that transionian, transdispensational? Because I know a lot of John is just for the Jews.
It's a place in time, and it's represented throughout the scriptures as that place in time.
Yeah, the question is about the verse in particular. Is that for all people? Because I know a lot of parts in John.
Oh, here we go again.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay,
Okay, here, I'll be clear. I'll be louder for you. Is that verse in John for all people? Because I know how you like to take parts of John and say, oh, no, that's just for Israel. Is that particular verse in John for all people and all
The
times?
light is appearing in the darkness, and the darkness grasped it not.
You understand
How
the
can it not
question?
be for all people, JG?
Okay, so you've decided on your authority that particular verse is
Oh, come on, JG.
transdispensational.
You want to have a
But the other
conversation,
parts
you
of
want to
John
play
are just for.
four-year-old games.
How can I talk when you're talking at the same time? You know what I mean? There's a point here. You take.
Okay, go ahead, Greg, since he. Now he left.
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you mean? What do I believe? What does that mean? Are you speaking to me? Yeah. He's the king of deflection. Hey, Halsey.
So he left for real?
Yeah.
Yep.
JG, you should come back. Don't.
No, he shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm out of tampons to wipe the blood off my ear.
It could just be a regular tissue. It doesn't have to be a tampon.
It was a lot of blood.
tissues don't stay in the hole very long.
Him being delivered by the determinate counsel and foreknowledge of God. You have taken and by wicked hands crucified